And now shame is like, haha, you haven't touched me because I am
No,
the grossest of them all.
it's time to take A Therapeutic Dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and/or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margie McGee.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to A Therapeutic Dose, where we meet at the intersection of reality TV and therapy. I am Margie McGee, and with me, as always, is my dear friend and co-host.
Hello, I am Ramona Ramirez, and I am coming to you not live from my niece's adorable bedroom. I'm up here in Portland visiting, and her room is empty because she's at high school, and I'm sitting at her adorable vanity with her adorable makeup, and there's Taylor Swift pictures on the wall, and just, I love it in here.
And your
Anyway,
microphone is standing on a book.
my microphone is standing on a Twilight book.
Okay. We're just really in it. We're
We
in a teen
really are,
moment
and
right now, and I love it.
I couldn't be happier. It's amazing. It's amazing. There's so much pink in here. It's adorable.
Yeah.
Anyway, it makes me happy. Oh, Margie and I were just catching up, as we always do, before we hit record, talking about shame, talking about being human and the parts
Yeah.
that don't feel good. And it's so nice to know that I'm not alone and that I can talk to you, Margie, like warts and all, and you get it. And even if you're feeling similarly, we're both loving and accepting of the other. And what is better than that, you know?
Well, and it's so helpful just to like reason it out with you because it gave me a whole new perspective on it, which is the whole layer of the onion thing.
Mm-hmm.
Layers of the onion, which I always hated that expression because I hate onions. And they make me cry. I don't understand. But
Yeah.
like we were just sort of talking about how we have lots of recovery in tons of areas in our lives. And this is sort of the last beast that seems to be haunting both of us. And it goes into its corner from time to time. So I can be like, oh, I got it. Or my shame it's in its crate. It's crate trained. It's not. It comes out whenever it wants to. And it made an appearance for both Ramona and I this week. And it's really rude and really loud and really obnoxious. And Ramona helped me reframe it as like, this is just what's left. Like so much of the other crap has been dealt with or welcomed or all some combination of the two. And now shame is like, haha, you haven't touched me because I
No,
am the grossest of them all.
it's not. I'm not
Slimy
going to
and
be ignored, Dan. Like, that's the energy it has. Even though that movie is
100%.
misogynistic AF, that line is iconic and it fits.
Fatal Attraction.
It is Fatal Attraction, right? Oh, wait, is that the Sharon Stone one? We're talking about the Glenn Close one. Is that Fatal Attraction?
I think so, where she boils a rabbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So misogynistic, that movie. But so good, man. Her hair and her dress when they go dancing. Oh, my God. Glenn Close, beautiful. Such a good movie. So misogynistic.
But also,
Anyway.
but it speaks to a part of me. Like when I get crazy in relationship,
Yeah.
so I certainly have never acted on anything like that.
Right.
But it's not like those thoughts in my imagination couldn't exist, you know? I will not be ignored that's
Yeah.
what isn't that in Big Mouth, isn't it the shame monster?
Oh, my God. He's
Or is
so
it
awful.
the shame
No.
wizard?
It's the shame wizard.
That's
It's the
right.
shame wizard.
Yeah. So
Oh,
the shame
yes.
wizard has just come to roost.
Big mouth. It
Yeah.
gives and gives.
Yeah, it
gives
does.
and gives. It reminds me that I'm not alone. But that's where it comes in. The big mouth kids, they're children. And those feelings and those coping skills, those toxic skills, like they arise in this way to protect you in this very perverse, cruel way. Yeah, and it's the human experience, I guess. If there's a cartoon that has a shame wizard, they named it. They
Yeah.
named the good parts, and they named the parts that are so painful and so mean. Last
I
week we
mean,
talked about depression kitty. This week
yeah.
we're talking about the shame wizard. And
And there's the anxiety mosquito. Like they really get
yes,
all of it. So
voiced by the incredibly talented Maria Bamford, who
yeah.
embodies the anxiety mosquito like so. Oh my God.
And she's just an
She's so good.
example of like having having mental health challenges and doing a whole big life anyway. And some
Mm-hmm.
days it's fun and easy, and some days it's really painful and hard. And she continues to do it all anyway. Like,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's all there is to do is just feel like shit and also have a life.
Oh my God. And what's incredible is that she's built this dynamic, huge career off of being 110% authentically her. She wrote
Yes.
the book, Sure, I'll Join Your Cult. I recommend the audiobook because you get to hear it in Maria's own cadence, and she's incredible. Obviously, she's a prolific voice actor, and she had a show on Netflix called Lady Dynamite, which
So
is really
good.
adorable, like really, really great and so funny. And she does stand up around town, around LA. And no, she tours too, I believe. So
Probably, yeah.
Maria Bamford, I wrote her not long ago. I emailed her.
Oh.
What was I going through? I can't remember, but I emailed her and said I was having such bad anxiety. I fall asleep to podcasts every night because having ADHD, like the thoughts just pummel me 24 effing 7. They pummel me. And it's terrible for sleep. And so I told her, I just want you to know that like your book was a really helpful tool because you lulled me to sleep. So thank you. And she's like, I'm glad I could be a tool. She replied. And it was, and it was just funny. And I don't know. I wanted her to know that not that she needs my validation, but that when artists share themselves, it's an incredibly vulnerable feeling. And she doesn't need my validation, but when artists share themselves with that much vulnerability, I really like to validate that and remind them that they didn't do it in vain. Again, not that she needs my validation, but that she's helping through her honest experience. And yes, it's peppered with incredible humor, but it's still honest and relatable, and it helped me. It helped me. She was of service. That is why art is so powerful and should be taken so seriously.
Yeah.
Revered.
And every artist likes to know that their work, especially the most personal stuff, because people who don't like things are very quick to get online and say something shitty about it. So I imagine it means a lot to know that exposing that much personal, vulnerable material had an impact,
It
a good
did.
one.
It did.
I love that you wrote her. I think that's great. And I love
I
that she wrote back. Of course she did. She gets it.
She totally gets it. Oh, cheers, Maria. If this podcast ever crosses your path, I raise a neon butterfly fidget toy that I borrowed
Amazing.
from my kid because when I record, I'm either playing with a pen or doing something. I've got to have something in my hands. And the fact that fidgets have become normal and passed out in my kids' classroom, fidget cushions, fidget spinners, fidget plastic neon butterflies. And I was like, Leo, can I borrow a fidget? He's like, absolutely, Mama.
Aw.
So shall we?
Let's do it.
Okay. This is season 14, episode 12 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Land of the Free, Home of the Shade. God.
Oh, God. Well, we pick up where we left off in Augusta, Georgia, where Garcelle, Sutton, Junebug, and Kyle are packing up, getting ready to go. We check in with Erika for a second as she loads furniture into her backyard in like a really unsatisfying moment.
With SpawnCon, the name
Oh,
I
I
of the
wondered
company.
what the hell that was. I
Oh,
was like, why are we
SpawnCon.
doing this?
SpawnCon,
Duh.
for
I'm
sure.
So naive.
No, you're not. It's just, I see right through her, dude.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then we have Dorit FaceTiming Bose and inviting her to her 4th of July barbecue. Yeah, she used to host this with PK, but this is the first year she's doing it without him. And so we'll get to that later. But we land back in the Augusta kitchen. And Garcelle and Kyle confessed to listening in on Sutton's conversation with Reba, where Reba had said she could come to California. I think I could do that. And Garcelle was proud of Sutton for getting everything out that she'd wanted to say. And Sutton agrees it was good. And then we see Reba has emerged and is standing in the midst of this conversation, entered unnoticed,
I bet she overheard everything.
Of course she did.
Yeah.
What a weird creep. But I mean, everyone at this point has a sense of humor. Like there's so much freedom once the truth is out there. Everyone's energy was so much more relaxed. So even Reba made a light joke of like, well, you're chatty this morning, Garcelle. And she's like, well, we were just confessing to listening. And once the truth has been addressed, the whole energy of that house changed.
You're so right, Margie. You're so right. They were all truthful, so they were free.
Yes.
And it was later. Oh my God, you're so right. I love that you said that. Poor Sutton, in her confessional, she said she's walking on cloud 9 because she hasn't felt this way since her sophomore year in college, and she doesn't want to leave. And I am so scared for Sutton because this is all it takes. This is all it takes is one conversation, one nugget of compassion, and all the other stuff is just not necessarily forgiven, but forgotten. And I am so scared she's going to be disappointed. And not that disappointment isn't a normal thing that we all experience, but when it comes from a parent, the devastation it just leaves you in rubble.
I felt the same way at this moment. I was like, uh-oh, because Sutton reminisces about that visit her mom made to her parents' weekend, her sophomore year of college. Now they walked around and talked, and like, I know exactly that feeling. It's so wonderful when you bond with your mom like that. It's so great. And she didn't want her to leave that visit, and now Sutton feels like she doesn't want to leave this visit. And I was worried as well, but I feel like what happens next, basically, Sutton tells Reba that she loved their talk, or she will hold Reba to saying, I love you just once a year. She makes a cute little joke. And they decide maybe at Christmas. And then Reba says, well, I never heard those words from my mom. And I was like, can we stop the cycle, Reba? Do you see how that damaged everyone?
Yeah.
And Sutton so beautifully just goes, okay, well, I love you. And Reba goes, well, I love you too, Sutton. And in a sincere way, not in the way she said it when Sutton said, I don't think it's trite for a parent to say, I love you and I'm proud of you. And she was like, okay, I love you. I'm proud of you. That was a different tone. This one felt so grounded and earnest and sincere that I was like, oh, she doesn't need to come to the fashion show. This is everything. In a relaxed moment in front of friends, she said it and she meant it. And she had a sweet little smile, like she was proud of herself for saying it. And you could tell she really meant it. It was monumental, more of a gesture than getting on a plane. If I'm Sutton, I hold on to that moment and I can take that with me.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And then Kyle makes the trip to Augusta about herself. She doesn't want to go home to an empty house because it's lonely for her. She says it's going to be me, myself, and I.
And Morgan.
And Morgan. And Teddy Mellencamp.
And 15 dogs.
Yeah,
Dude.
Teddy's living at her house.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Teddy.
I said in my notes, F you, Kyle, work on your feelings. They're going to stay. You can't control your way out of them. You can't.
And also, it's just, again, these shows are helpful for me to see what I can work on. I'm just like, why don't you shift your perspective to what's good? You have so much that's great in your life. I'm so tired of hearing you whine about your children excelling and moving out of the house like adults can and should do. So what's good? You have a girlfriend, you have a beautiful home, you have dogs, you have a career.
Speaking of dogs, Evelyn just on her squeak toy. That's adorable. Yes. Oh my God.
She's squeaking a corn dog toy.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
In honor of the 4th of July episode.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was sick of Kyle. I was like, she cannot think of anyone but herself, and it gets worse as this episode goes on. It's like this trip was about Sutton. Sutton is, she says it, overjoyed, overwhelmed, and she feels completely loved. Garcelle goes, this is why we came. And Kyle's like, I have to go to an empty house, an empty mansion, which is not empty. and I'm not sad for you. So yeah.
Again, the stark difference between Kyle and Garcelle. And it seems effortless for Garcelle to show up as a supportive friend. And I don't ever remember a time when Kyle has been supportive. I don't.
No, not
I
unless it
don't.
directly serves her.
Yeah.
Like in the end of this episode when she talks with Dorit. It's nice that she's relating to Dorit, but it's just to serve her own narrative or whatever. Ugh.
Agreed.
Blech.
Agreed. Then we pivot to Bose's house, and her cousin Tina comes over. And Tina, she just goes to Nico and gives him a beautiful, loving, generous hug. Everyone loves Nico. I love it. Yes.
Me too. And Bose says that she's closer to Tina than even her sisters. They're only 10 months apart in age and they communicate regularly, sometimes even telepathically, which I believe.
I do too.
And it's just so weird. I just have to say, now that I'm aware, they showed a picture of Bose and her sisters. And again, my death doula instructor is her sister. And it suddenly, I flash back on like, oh my God, Elua's whole origin story, that's my death doula teacher, was that her brother-in-law was sick and dying from cancer. And that is the person she first tended to that made her want to do this work. And I literally was like, that's Bose's husband. I was like, oh my God. It all started flooding back. It's so crazy. I spent a year doing this training and hearing these stories, and suddenly I have a whole new angle on it. Oh, this is the woman whose husband passed and you tended to him, and that inspired the next phase of your whole career.
You should DM her on Instagram.
Bose?
You should DM Bose.
I should.
I think that she'd like it. I think she would be touched. I do.
Yeah.
I'm idealizing this woman. I don't want to be hurt. I feel like she's the best thing to happen to the housewives across the board ever. I do.
Thank God for her, especially in an episode like this where we just need someone to be like, hey, you're being rude.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, but you don't know the history. And she's like, no.
Yeah.
Rude is rude. If you fart in my salad, that's rude. I don't need to know your history. You farted in my salad. That's rude. Like, that's not what happens. But,
Right.
I just appreciate someone with like a moral compass and a sense of kindness that guides everything. Anyways, they have gold flaked lemonade outside and start discussing Bose's pregnancy journey.
That drink
Keely.
looked refreshing, beautiful, and delicious. I would order it at a bar.
It was a little work of art, as it should be.
Mm-hmm.
This is
That's
a
how
woman
Bose
who really
likes to
knows how to
live.
live. Yep.
Yes.
She's doing
Art
it
and
right.
beauty surrounds her.
She's an example of like, how everyone says, like, use the good china. What are you saving it for? I just
Totally.
feel like Bose's whole existence is like,
Using the good china.
yeah, she just
Yeah.
lives in luxury that like is meaningful to her.
Yeah.
And I love that.
I agree. Bose tells Tina that she wants to see if she's viable to have more children, and a fertility doctor is coming to do tests on her and Keely, and she's fearful that what if she doesn't get the results she wants. And then she tells a story. She was pregnant with her first daughter, Eve, which broke my heart. Eve was named. She was diagnosed with preeclampsia, and she had to go in for an emergency surgery, and her
At 6.5 months.
and
Like, you're cooked. It's done. It should be here. The baby should be here.
and her baby
Anyways.
didn't survive. And 2 months after she lost Eve, she really knew she wanted to be a mother. And I could relate to this, say emphatically that even though I could relate, I did not experience a tragedy on the level that Bose experienced. However, it still makes me cry. I did have a miscarriage. And when Bose said that 2 months after she lost Eve, she knew how badly she wanted to be a mother, losing that pregnancy devastated me. I went through a whole gamut of feelings, like what did I do wrong, all that bullshit, which I don't even want to give that any energy, but it was just an honest part of my experience, and it really showed me and my husband how much we wanted to have a child. And I guess it still is a part of my grief somewhere because it still brings up a lot of emotion for me when I talk about it. And I don't think that miscarriage is talked about enough. I don't think it's talked about enough, how devastating it can be. I don't know if it's common, but it happens.
It's so
And
common.
it is
And
so common, isn't it?
it
Yeah.
comes back to my death doula training, and I wonder if that's related to Bose as well, is that a huge part of that course was miscarriage grief. Like there's just no time or space given to it. It's as if it's like a thing you check off your list on your way to having a baby, but you've lost something that you were connected to and had future plans for, no matter how long the pregnancy lasted. I have people close to me who've had several at various stages, and it's a whole loss. And for people to be like, "Aw, are you going to try again?" It's like, yeah, but like
Yeah,
I
dude.
lost a baby, like a whole thing. The pregnancy, finding out is so joyful, and losing it is just, people just brush on past it like they do most moments of grief, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
that is a whole part of grief training, is miscarriages and people who've lost pregnancies, because nobody takes time to let them have time to heal that. It's really painful.
Yeah.
And I don't speak from experience. I just have been around lots of family and friends who've had this experience. And this gave me insight into my mom's journey. I've shared on this podcast before. My mom's first pregnancy, she carried it to term, had a natural birth. And this was a different era. Such a thing would never happen today because they have equipment that would have caught this. But the baby was strangled by the umbilical cord on her way out. And they asked my mom to give her a name and then took her away. And they baptized her, and that was the end of that. And my mom, to this day, 83 years old, talks about going to visit her on Hart Island. My dad didn't want to see the baby. So the baby got buried by prisoners on this island called Hart Island, where like unknown and unclaimed bodies are buried.
Oh my
And my mom
God.
wants to go visit Maria out there. And Maria has never left the story. She's part of our family, you know? And I don't know how the fuck my mom did it. How do you carry a baby to term? Bose answered that question to me. Is like, my mom had a baby and must have experienced that same calling of like, oh, I have to be a mom. So I'm going to do this 2 more times. And Bose talked about how her pregnancy with Lael was, in her words, horrific, because at every turn she was expecting it to go wrong. And I can only imagine that my mom had the same experience with both my sister and me, because she doesn't believe in baby showers, because she's like, until it's here, it's not a thing. Because she had an experience of going to the hospital, the excitement of labor, and then the delivery went left. And it's just it's such an act of bravery to come back from a miscarriage or a loss at that stage. It's just so, but I feel like Bose just helped me understand that like you can't not. If you need to be a mom, you have to find your way to be a mom.
Yeah.
So
I feel for everyone who's experienced that. I know people that have also experienced a loss of a baby, like when it's no longer a concept, an abstract concept, like you've seen the ultrasounds, you've
heard the
felt the
heartbeat.
baby, right?
Yeah.
And to lose the baby, my heart breaks for everyone that's gone through that. And I send them all love.
Yeah. And that
Oh,
Bose, like for kind of the first time, we see her weeping as she's talking about this. And Tina, I mean, this family is just full of like the wisest human beings I could ever imagine. Tina says, to be on this pregnancy journey with this man is both of you saying yes to whatever may come, but one step at a time.
mm,
Meaning, like, this may end in tragedy. This may never happen. This may end with a beautiful, happy birth. But both of you are saying that you're committed to any outcome if you step on this path. And
mm.
Bose earlier had said that she is starting to sense that both she and Keely are like, I'm not sure about this anymore, but neither one of them wants to disappoint the other by bringing up that topic, which again gives me, I have concerns about how these two communicate with I love yous and like flying in a fertility doctor when nobody's really sure if they want to do this anymore. So clearly they've figured it out. But I thought this was a beautiful scene. I love Tina. I hope she comes back all the time.
Me
She's
too.
wonderful.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Oy, oy, oy.
And then in stark contrast, we go to Kyle in a robe and a cowboy hat asking Siri what the temperature is going to be. Like, just, it's
What am I
like,
going to wear? I know.
so boring.
I
What
know.
a dumb, so boring.
And just typical, just self-obsession and yeah.
And boo-hoo again about like, my only friend is Siri. I have to ask her what the temperature is. What am I going to wear? It's just like, please stop. Everything, you're
Stop.
fine. Just
Yes.
stop it. And please, with the cowboy hat, please stop.
Then we pivot to Dorit's house for the 4th of July party. PK is not there for this holiday. They typically do up every holiday. We see flashbacks of them dressing up for various Halloweens. Okay, whatever. Part of what I love about being in Portland when I get to come is that, my sister watches Bravo too. And so she was sitting next to me last night as I was taking notes. And my sister theorized that she wonders if Dorit and PK are divorcing so all their assets can be in Dorit's name. If any law enforcement comes after PK at all for whatever shady business misdeeds he's committed in his life. She saw somewhere that a headline somewhere, an article somewhere that said that their house is in pre-foreclosure, which I hadn't heard for some reason. Had you heard that before?
Yeah, I mentioned it on this podcast.
Oh God,
but
I'm so
it
sorry, I
hadn't-
forgot.
No, but I didn't remember where I saw it, and you were like, I haven't seen it, and I'm like, you're this Reddit queen, so if you haven't seen it, it can't be real.
I'll double check, but I Googled it.
Your sister may have seen the same headline I did.
It
which
was
is like,
like
I don't know.
the articles, the only articles that said it were like all about the tea or reality tea or the daily fail and the sun. So I don't know, but they supposedly missed 4 house payments. And I also told my sister, I'm like, there's no way, dude. Like Dorit is not a good enough actor to carry off this big ruse. And she looked at me like, sure, Jan.gif. Like, Ramona, wake up. And I was like, holy shit, is she right? Morally revealed. We'll see. Yikes.
The way PK is behaving, it doesn't seem like he's trying to have Dorit be an ally. So, or maybe that's why he had a friendly conversation with her last week.
Or maybe that's part of the
don't
plan.
know.
They're trying to like create this story.
Dorit seems really broken though.
She does, and that's what I told my sister. I'm like, dude, she's different this season. I don't know, but she's skeptical, which I appreciate because
It's fair.
It's very
They've given
fair.
us plenty of reasons to wonder about what's really going on ever.
Exactly.
But Dorit does feel like there's something missing without PK there, and she's looking forward to not feeling too sad while she's surrounded by loved ones at this party. And then a bunch of lovely families and friends arrive. This is an all-ages party. Kids are there. There's a big inflatable slide. And Dorit greets them all and then runs upstairs to get a body chain. Again, not my life.
Yeah.
And then Sutton enters and just this again, it's my dad, pitches a fit about not being greeted at a barbecue, at a daytime barbecue for families. You're really going to stand inside, go outside, go introduce yourself. There's lovely people out there. And she just pouts in the room, and it's an open concept. Pocket doors are open. So you're just sitting there on full display looking at the party going on mere feet away. You're just doing this to be a brat and throw a tantrum. And in 12-step rooms, we learn to show up places to be of service. You don't go looking for what you can get. You go with something to fucking offer. You find something or someone to offer that too. Her attitude was just I hated it. I was so annoyed with her. There's a party literally going on right outside. What are you doing moping in the fucking foyer waiting for someone to greet you? This isn't like a royal coronation. It's a 4th of July hot dog barbecue. What do you want? Ugh. Her
You know what?
stupid bedazzled shoes. Then I started hating everything about her again. I'm
Oh,
like,
I know.
I hate your jeweled shoes. Get out.
I was like, oh, Sutton shows up in her little red sneakers.
For
And
her neuropathy.
you know
God
what?
bless.
You're absolutely right. It's a barbecue. Why would someone be inside?
It would
Why
be
would
nice.
anyone be
I get it.
inside?
If I walk in to a party where I don't know other people, I would love for the host to greet me. If they're not there, I'm not going to pout. I'm going to walk out and be like, hi, how do you know Dorit? Or go get a hot dog, talk to the fucking vendor, get a drink, do something. Put your fucking flowers down and and it was only 20 minutes. They showed us the timestamp. Like, I can kill time for 20 minutes making a lap of the property. Just fucking don't.
20 minutes when there's a whole ass party going on outside. Ah, that's so wild. That's so
oh
wild.
my God. So
Ay, ay, ay.
victim-y and so annoying. And Dorit was upstairs. We cut to her upstairs saying like, I just want to find this body chain. I don't want to leave my guests. It's on her mind. She's not just unconsciously sitting upstairs being like, they can fucking fend for themselves. I want to do what I want to do. She's just having the first party she's had as a woman, separated, and is out of sorts. And Sutton only makes it worse. And I was not a fan.
And I know that feeling that Dorit, I'm projecting. I am projecting. I want to be clear. I know that I want to be clear. I'm projecting. I know that feeling of like, I've got to get that last piece of thing to complete this outfit because then I will feel at peace.
Yes.
I don't know why. I understand the need to lead into that lie that thing is going to make the difference. But at the same time, if it's going to make the difference and bring her some peace in that moment, is that so terrible?
No, especially again with what she's going through right now, she gets a pass. The fact that she even threw this party and it's happening feels like a victory. And then Kyle arrives and she's just as shitty. She walks in the door and takes shots at this. There's a table with family photos on it. And Kyle's like, why are these here? Why is there a shrine? I'm like, again, this just happened. Dorit is not okay with her family falling apart. Nobody is ready to just dispose of an entire decade of life overnight. And I don't know if or how I would sterilize my home of all images of my intact family. Like, I just, Kyle's so, again, impatient with everyone. She's like, what is this, a shrine to PK? It's like, he just left. Dorit's head is still spinning. She's not yet in acceptance that this is actually ending. Just leave the pictures alone. Just walk in and hug your friend, for Christ's sake. And then she further makes it about herself by going like, should I wear this shirt? I didn't get a self-tan, so I feel self-conscious. I'm like, can anyone come in and not talk about themselves? And God, it just was so annoying.
Repellent. It was repellent. Kyle is self-obsession and self-centeredness run rampant. She's so gnarly, dude. She's so gnarly.
Just can't show up for anyone else. Neither of these women can. It was just so annoying to see both of them.
So annoying.
And Kyle uses the word annoying later to refer to other people. And I'm like, you spot it. You got it. You started it. You are it. You are the origin story of annoying, Kyle. Ugh.
You're right. You're right. Dorit's mom comes in and introduces herself, and she looks at Sutton and says, you're beautiful. And I thought that was really nice. Like, Sutton's style is different. Sutton, I think she's beautiful. I think she's looked gorgeous in her confessionals all season. I appreciate her sense of style at times. But most of the other ladies are the ones that are like fitting the LA version of glam. Anyway, it struck me. That's all I'm saying.
It was nice. And Sutton totally shrugged it off and didn't say anything nice back.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
It's just the worst kind of person to have at a party. Sutton could have done that. She could have walked outside and said hello to someone and said, you look beautiful, and started a conversation. But
That's
instead,
true.
she sat and pouted. Someone said something nice to her, and she just shrugged it off because she was determined to be
You're
a twat.
right. You're right. Dorit is not stoked that her adversaries arrived first and then engages in this weird Birkin tug of war. It felt like a joke, but at the same time, I was kind of doubtful that it was a joke. In her confessional, she even says Sutton's been a shit to me, but if she gave me this Birkin, all will be forgiven. Dorit, that's not how it works. You know this. Why are you acting so odd about this and not?
I think she'd
It
hoped
was
to make a
weird.
joke, but like the emotion is too raw and charged. And so it couldn't be a joke. It was bad. Did not help things for either one of them.
This is the first instance in this episode. There's going to be more when they're outside all together. This is the first instance that we see Dorit projecting her anger at PK on another person that she perceives to have problems with alcohol.
I get it. I do it too.
Yeah.
And then Dorit, to get out of this uncomfortable moment, leads Sutton to the bar. And then Garcelle arrives and has this. I've watched it like 4 times. It's one of my favorite things to watch is people tripping and falling. Garcelle entered and tripped on the like tracks of the pocket doors. And it was so dramatic, but she saved it so well. And she looked beautiful while she did it. And like not a hair out of place when she recovered. I don't know. It just made me laugh. And then we see Phoenix. Phoenix, Dorit's daughter, is like an amazing dancer. We just cut to her doing like a grand jeté by the pool. And her technique is stunning. She's great.
I love it.
I would go watch her dance.
Aw.
And then here we go. Garcelle asks what Sutton's drinking and if it has alcohol in it. And Sutton says she's having a watermelon something. And yes, it has booze in it. And then we have Dorit's next misguided joke attempt where she goes, did you just ask Sutton if her drink has alcohol in it? Essentially with the tone of like, does a bear shit in the woods? Is the Pope Catholic? And Sutton is immediately reactive and offended because she is an alcoholic, in my opinion. And she just goes, you're such a bitch, which was a lot for a barbecue.
See, it's not that I disagree with what you're saying. It's just what I saw is that, so when you are in a family with an alcoholic or close to an alcoholic, passive-aggressive comments like that feel like that is part of how the disease affects the family of the problem drinker. That is such an Al-Anon trait, to be passive-aggressive and make digs about someone's drinking. And so we really see how much Dorit is mired in her part of the alcoholic family system. This is what it's like. That's one of the weird things that comes up. What do you think? Do you agree?
100%. I mean, I just got to the place where like, I'm like, everyone's behaving terribly and Sutton should leave. And I did write in Dorit's confessional when she talks about, Sutton threatens to leave and she says, run, little crybaby, make sure you have a drink in your hand. And I just wrote, oh, this is too far. Go to Al-Anon. Her drinking is none of your business.
Yes.
And I just sort of like, I spot it because I got it, Dorit. I do the same thing when someone's drinking bothers me. But I have enough recovery now to know to like not say that shit out loud. All it does is provoke the fight. If you engage, as they say in Al-Anon, you don't have to go to every fight you're invited to. I think it's so rotten that Sutton said, you're such a bitch. That is an invitation to a fight. But I have enough recovery to be like, do not fight with an alcoholic, especially one who has a drink in her hand. And we know Sutton had a roadie. It's Sutton. You know what I mean? You're not going to be engaging with a rational, sober person. So just fucking don't.
It is, but when they roll tape and do the flashbacks, we see all the scenes where Dorit is talking about Sutton's drinking throughout the years and not being kind about it, which maybe should have been a clue that, she was already dealing with PK's relationship with alcohol, unhealthy relationship with alcohol, alcoholism, what have you. And so I could see that if that has been building up over the years, I could kind of sympathize or empathize with why Sutton reacted that way. Like Dorit has not been kind to her about her drinking.
But it was only one thing. It was Dorit saying, I wonder if Sutton put vodka in her coffee. And then the reunion where Andy was like, were you implying she has a drinking problem? And she didn't say no. That was it. It's not like she's put a campaign together.
Yeah, maybe she is oversensitive about it because she knows it's the truth. Sutton, 100%, I'm talking about.
Because Sutton's like, well, Dorit has never apologized for contributing to the rumor or myth that I have some sort of drinking problem. And I was just like, well, don't give him something to talk about, Sutton. Like, it's been years of
God.
this now.
Why do I continue to rationalize her behavior? Why do I continue to be in denial about Sutton? What is it?
Because Dorit is so approaching it so wrong. You know what I mean? It's like Dorit makes herself so hateable that it takes the focus off of Sutton. Because you're right, Dorit is approaching this completely wrong. She's taking her inventory. She's being passive aggressive. Don't serve alcohol at your party if you invite an alcoholic and don't want them to drink. You know what I mean? Like, you have some control here too. It's a daytime party. Like, just don't then. They're both at peak alcoholic Al-Anon. Their isms are in the driver's seat, and it is so unpleasant. And there's no solution except someone leaving. You just got to get out of there and get recovery and try again in 6 months or something.
That's exactly what's happening. They're playing their roles to a T. You're absolutely right, Bargy. You're absolutely right.
And Sutton threatens to leave, and Dorit is like, I'm not looking to argue with you. Just don't call me a bitch in my own home, for fuck's sake. And Sutton stands up, and this is all, again, at a 4th of July barbecue with children. Like, everybody is really resonating at a frequency that does not belong at this event. And Garcelle jumps to Sutton's defense, which is just so unpleasant, saying she's sensitive after that vodka in the coffee comment. And Dorit rightly is like, I'm sensitive, Garcelle. And I'm like, yes, nobody should be at this party. This should not be a party. Everybody leave. You're all not in a place to enjoy a 4th of July hot dog.
And then Dorit in her confessional just lets her passive aggressive shit about her ongoing resentments, I should say, about Sutton over the years that she has developed. And I, in that moment, thought that this is giving us an inside view of what the fights between her and PK must have been like when they went down. So we are seeing what Dorit is capable of when the shit hits the fan and they are going mano a mano in that ring, she and PK. And so we know, like, oh, she's capable of being real cold, real cruel. Yeah.
Yeah. But I get it. I mean, I guess maybe that's where I sympathize with Dorit is until I found therapy and recovery, I did the same thing. Every alcoholic was my dad. I'm still doing it. Sutton is still making me work through my shit. Hopefully she won't love the behavior she witnesses herself carrying out in this season, and maybe she'll get a little support on how to not let an alcoholic dictate your behavior and your life, your experience, your joy.
Yeah. So Kyle and Garcelle are trying to convince Sutton to stay, and in Kyle's confessional, she says, it's not lost on me that Sutton gave me shit for leaving Bose's wellness day. And she projects onto Sutton. She spots it. She's got it. That Sutton makes rules she doesn't follow herself. Oh, Kyle, really? Really? Look in the mirror, you self-centered, self-obsessed, sick person.
Yes, indeed. And in the midst of this, Bose has arrived and makes the unfortunate comment of, excuse me, bitches, as she walks up. And Garcelle's like, no, that word just started a whole meltdown. Kyle asks Dorit to come smooth things over with Sutton. Dorit says that Kyle and Garcelle can do it, that she's not interested in engaging with someone who called her a bitch in her own home and wouldn't apologize for it. And then we get this whole conversation around that sisterhood pledge. And I'd forgotten about that. I'm like, Sutton, you really did set yourself up to be unlikable in this moment. Dorit's like, remind her of the sisterhood pledge that she had us all tie a ribbon around our hands about. And now she's calling me a bitch and storming out of my family barbecue. Like, come on. And Dorit's right. She in her confessional, she says, I didn't bring up the alcoholism last year. Kyle did. And we flash back to that party where Kyle says she wasn't sure if Sutton's erratic behavior had to do with her being on her first drink or her fifth. And that was Kyle. Dorit's right. Dorit just piggybacked on that. And Sutton gave her reason to. Nobody said, that's crazy. Sutton seems totally not drunk ever.
That comment lives in my head rent-free, as the young people say, when Kyle said that. I didn't know if you'd have a couple drinks or you had taken your foot medicine. She knew what she was doing. I
Of
maintain that
course.
she knew she was being a cruel asshole and taking the low blow and the low road.
And Sutton shot back by saying, "You've already lost two sisters. You want to lose another?"
I mean, they
I
were
mean,
both in their roles, weren't
and
they?
that's the thing is if you get in that fight, that's what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's awful. So I was just on the edge of my seat being like, just go, Sutton, get out. This is all bad. Everyone's getting meaner and meaner. And then Dorit wonders if Sutton's big reaction to this joke is because there's truth behind the myth, as Sutton called it.
Dorit wasn't joking, though. She knew what she
No,
was doing, too. So she's being
of
completely
course.
dishonest in this confessional.
Everyone is terrible. Everyone
Everyone's
is
terrible. No
terrible.
one's winning. You're right.
No,
You're right.
everyone they need to be split apart. No, there's no conversation that will make this okay. Everyone's in a bad place. And everybody's projecting on everyone else. Sutton has just come from seeing her mom, so I'm sure she's carrying around a lot of trauma and residual feelings from that, and she probably doesn't have tolerance for Dorit's feelings. And Sutton is PK to her, so she's not going to do what she did with PK. Kyle winds up being PK later. I'm not going to do the same thing with Kyle that I've done with PK. It's just everybody's deep in their shit and somebody needs to leave. So I'm glad we eventually get rid of Sutton, but not before Erika arrives as this slutty American. And I did appreciate Erika in this episode. She was like, what? I just walked in the threshold and somebody's leaving? I just came for a hot dog. Like, what is the fucking problem, you guys?
Which is the drama that accompanies
An
dealing
alcoholic.
with an alcoholic. Yes.
Because
Drama
Erika
from the
enters,
jump. Drama anytime.
Erika
Yes.
just says,
Chaos.
what's going on? And Sutton goes, oh, nothing, through tears. And Erika's like, well, something's going on, so tell me. And then Sutton says she doesn't want to perpetuate this alcoholism myth or be around someone who would. So she wants to leave.
And then nasty-ass Kathy Hilton arrives looking like a shit-ass lamp.
It gets worse. It's every
It
episode.
really does. I'm over it. Come on, producers. Let the mouse go.
She adds nothing.
She adds nothing. She
I don't
adds
even
nothing.
think her like one-liners are funny. I'm just sick of it.
And I wonder if she's cultivating them, the hunky-dory or the whatever she says later.
The mohill.
The mohill? But then
I
again,
don't even care.
I
It's
don't
like-
know. I don't know.
It's
You're
just
right.
not,
Who
it doesn't
cares?
add enough.
You're right. You're right.
And then Bose gets curious why everyone is gathered at the door instead of coming into Dorit's party that she's hosting. And Bose asks them to come inside and they tell her to like stop soldiering for Dorit. And God bless Bose. She's like, all right, if you all want to coddle her of Sutton. And she basically just wants them to behave like civilized people with couth at a party and just come in to the party they were invited to. Either get in or get out. But standing at the threshold crying and wringing your hands is rude. I'm with Bose. And if I was hosting this party, I would be really mad because I would, of course, be distracted. When I host a party, I'm aware, probably, again, hypervigilance, aware of all the things that are going on. And it would really fuck with me to know that a bunch of people were like in some sort of emotional fight at my front door while I'm trying to like serve hot dogs, snow cones, and like set up the water slide.
Very true. Very true. And Kyle is annoyed with Bose that she's sticking up for Dorit without knowing what's going on. And, Kyle is just annoyed with Bose. Bose can do no right in Kyle's eyes because Kyle is so pissed off that all through the years, people have taken Kyle's side. And this is one person that's not. And I love it. I love
And
it.
it's a very smart person. Kyle is stupid to get in the ring with her.
Yes.
And she belittles her. She's like, you don't get to scold us. And I was like, oh my God, your language. And I just wrote, this is about basic manners. You don't need a backstory to identify rudeness. Bose is just saying, you're being rude to my friend at her party. Please make a choice, make a different choice. And it reminded me of Kyle scolding everyone, being like, we're at our age behaving like this. It's like, you're doing that. It's gross.
It's so gross.
And then Bose reports to Dorit that she told the women to stop coddling Sutton. And Dorit is so like moved by this. And Bose is like, it's not a thing because they're just being rude to the hostess. That's all I was trying to bring to their attention. And then Dorit says, the lack of empathy, support, or even sheer kindness. Don't be a bitch. Don't be a vile human. Don't be a douche.
It was so weird hearing the word douche come out of Dorit's mouth. Like, it was just, I don't know, it grossed me out. I don't know.
It undercut everything. Like she's so in the right in this moment, and she just ruined it for herself by talking. Just
Totally.
stop talking.
Totally.
And then Sutton, again, in her alcoholic victimhood, I've ruined this and I'm going to leave. And I was like, you have, go. Just get out of here. And then Sutton claims in her confessional that Dorit has gone after her for years, which I don't remember. And then she just gets in the mud. I'm sorry that your businesses have failed and mine has not. I'm sorry that you can't have a clean divorce and I can. I'm sorry for all of your problems, but your problems are not mine. And then it's so mean. And then in the, previews for next week, it sounds like she just says to Dorit, I'm richer than you. And so I am better than you, which is clearly what she believes.
Absolutely.
And it makes me, I loved Sutton at the beginning of this episode. I was so excited for her to have heard that I love you from her mom. And by this point, I'm just like, get out. You don't deserve anything nice. You're an asshole.
Yeah.
This is so unnecessary. A divorce is a trauma, and Dorit's has just started, and she's going through it with an asshole. Like, what do you want? Congratulations on marrying a richer, less assholey man. Like, I just can't with Sutton. Don't get me started. She didn't make her own money. The righteousness, I don't know where she gets off. She got really lucky, and she should be really grateful.
I agree.
Just leave Dorit alone. Let the mouse go, Sutton.
Oh,
God.
Very true. So they all go outside and they sit down, and Garcelle tells everyone that Sutton left because she doesn't feel welcome and said the vodka comment was out of line. I think it was too. Dorit knew what she was doing. And Bose and Dorit say it's not cool to call someone a bitch in their own home. I mean, Dorit started it. I don't know if I agree with the whole don't call me a bitch in my own home. I think that that's this weird, old school respect bullshit. I don't know. Do you disagree?
I do. If I'm hosting a party, I went to all this work, I'm completely destabilized because my personal life, financial life is falling apart around me. Someone walks into my space, I'm barely holding it together, and calls me a bitch? Absolutely not. If anyone walked into my space for a pizza party when my life is going great, don't call me. Like, it's unnecessary, but it's the whole alcoholic Al-Anonic dynamic playing out everywhere, because Garcelle is codependent here, making excuses for what I think is inexcusable behavior. You would never walk into someone's party and call them a bitch.
I would never. I
Right.
would never. I guess I need to look at the fact that why I'm so annoyed that they're like,
it's
in my own home.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing. That's the problem, is like everyone is hateable because everyone's doing this wrong.
Yeah.
Like Sutton is an alcoholic. Dorit should never have called it out. Sutton should never have called her a bitch, even if she did. She should have just stood up and left and said, like, you know what? I don't think I don't think this party is for me today. I'm going to go. Thank you so much. We tried. There's a way to do that without being like, I'm leaving. I don't feel welcome here. Oh, you don't? After you called me a bitch? But, I don't know. You're right. Everybody's right, and everybody should go, because this is just crazy. I can't. I'm with Bose. Bose says, somebody walks in my house and calls me a bitch. Those are fighting words.
Yeah. And then Kathy Hilton, who is the ultimate mean girl, says, none of us are mean girls. Kathy, you just sit down. Goodbye. I don't,
just met with total silence, because everyone's like, we all are, and we all know it.
Yeah.
That's not going to work here.
And then Bose says, like, why can't we all rally around Dorit in the spirit of sisterhood? And Garcelle's like, where's your spirit of sisterhood when you call us rude? And Bose says, I'm calling things like I see them. And Garcelle says, we are too. And then we see a confessional from Erika Jane, who says, okay, Garcelle, who's been Sutton's spokesperson since she got here a few years ago, they roll the tape. We see Garcelle sticking up for Sutton with nasty-ass trash human Diana Jenkins from a few seasons ago. And when Dorit said at a party full of people, Dorit said, well, Sutton made out with her driver. And so she says it's okay for Garcelle to defend Sutton, but it's not okay for Bose to stand up for Dorit.
I wanted to note at the end of Erika's confessional, she sort of wraps it up by saying, everybody needs to stop being so threatened by the Bose and Dorit friendship. Let
Yes.
everybody get along. And that's
Yes.
what's happening is everyone's competing for this. Garcelle does bring this up because she says Bose is being one-sided because Bose, accused Kyle of being unwelcoming to her. And Bose says she wasn't writing Kyle off as a cold-hearted bitch, but they have not had any deep conversations or experienced any closeness. And Kyle, just so dumb. God.
So dumb, dude.
She's like,
so dumb.
I thought we had a great connection. And we see a flashback of all these conversations that on Kyle's side went great. But Kyle gives no thought to how the other person is experiencing it or if they're getting anything out of these interactions. Again,
Right.
Kyle came to Bose's bedside after abdominal surgery and was like, look at Dorit hugging Mauricio and my flowers are better than Dorit's flowers. And anyways, bye. It's like, she
Exactly.
just came out of anesthesia and this is what you bring to the table?
And all of the connections that Kyle is claiming to have had where she expressed warmth were just really superficial, meaningless conversation, forgettable
Completely.
conversations, just surface conversations. So shut up, Kyle. Shut up.
And Bose just says the vibes aren't vibing with Kyle. There's nothing to work with. She says, I don't know anything but her being sharp. And Kyle whines about being singled out, claiming that Bose developed a loyalty to Dorit because she met her first. Like, Kyle just cannot come to terms with the fact that Bose doesn't like her because Kyle sucks. Not because she met Dorit first, not because she's experienced any kind of bias, but because she has spent time with Kyle and doesn't like her at all. That's you, Kyle. Bose says, like, I won't be led. I'm not someone who's led to an opinion. I don't like you because I don't like you. And I asked Kathy because I cared to try. But like, if this is it, forget it.
She sees what all of us have been seeing this entire time about Kyle. Again, I've said it so many times since we started talking about this season of Beverly Hills. The Kyle we're seeing in this season is her true essence, the one that she is when I watch every appearance on Watch What Happens Live. She finally does it in this episode when she just gets real see you next Tuesday The real Kyle is here.
But
Real
she's all
Kyle
over
is
the
here.
place.
And Bose, she sees through bullshit. Dude, you can't win. She sees the truth. Her job deemed it. Kyle, abandon hope, ye all who enter here. Get over yourself.
She is too dumb to be entering this argument. And she's all over the place. So she started by saying, well, I thought our interactions have been wonderful. I've loved getting to know you. Then Bose is like, well, it's not working for me. And Kyle's is like, well, you've been very hard on me, at the
God,
Viper
dude.
Room, suggesting that Kyle block PK to fairly eliminate any, temptation or threat of communication in the name of girl code for your friend who you claim is your friend. It's totally reasonable. It's not being hard on her. And Kyle goes, okay, Judge Judy, you've never even met PK. And Dorit is like, why should she have to meet him? That is the ultimate question of like, again, in the 12-step rooms, they talk about principles before personalities.
Oh, yeah.
The principle we're fighting for here is girl code. Why do you need to meet the guy? To make an exception to your principles? Ew. And also let her meet PK. See if she's like, oh, you know what? You're right. He's great. I would love for,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't stay away from him. I got to talk to him. He's wonderful.
Oh,
Fuck
my
off.
God. Oh, my God. Can you imagine? Imagine? Ay, ay, ay.
No.
Anyway.
We get a confessional from Erika who basically just says like, this shit is exhausting. And I was like, yep, because it's just bickering, fighting in circles. We do eventually get to the point where Dorit says to Kyle, well, I don't know anything that's going on with you either. I understand why Bose hasn't gotten to know you because we've been friends and I don't know a damn thing that's going on. And then Kyle whines about, I was married for 28 years. I'm like, you're saying things that I know about you and I don't know you. So that's weird and not enough. And there's just more juvenile screaming back and forth. And Dorit, in a really centered moment, tries to clarify that if did they reset at Garcelle's beach house or not? On the beach, we hugged and said, let's move forward and try again. And Kyle now suddenly is like, well, yes, we did start fresh and clean. We did. But both of us have to build from scratch. Both of us have to earn trust back. And it's like, okay, Oh, fucking K.
I was irate. I was incensed when I saw Kyle insisting we both have a part in this. That is effing bullshit.
Completely.
I can't stand it when people can't just accept responsibility and not have to but bullshit. Like, you did this, you just accept the L, accept that you were in the wrong. Well, we both have to do this. Like, Kyle.
Well, and she's trying to keep Dorit in like the villain position, because in her confessional, Kyle says, well, I'm really annoyed, but I'm willing to take a breath and move forward. And I was like, oh, wow. Oh, what a hero. You're willing to, with this nightmare Dorit, whose husband you've been texting behind her back. Like, what are you talking about? Like you said, I'm so desperate for that energy that we opened this episode with. Everyone's come to terms with the truth, and so everyone can just fucking relax.
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle is insisting on this narrative that is not true, which is causing all this tension. I find it so stressful. I was the one who needed to leave this party. I was like, we got to be done with this.
Dude.
And Dorit says she's not willing to enter the same cycle with Kyle like she did in her marriage. She's doing the same things over and over again. But Dorit is willing to take this small step of progress and move forward with Kyle. And I appreciated her saying, I'm going to take it. I need peace. And I was like, I get that.
Okay, we all know this, the saying, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. I don't know if that saying originated in 12-step rooms or if it was already a saying that was incorporated into 12-step rooms, but that is totally what Dorit's saying. Like, I can't do the same thing over. It's insanity and I'm going to get the same thing, which we're clearly seeing when Kyle's like, well, we both have to. And Dorit just lets it go. Like, if this is what it's going to mean, if this is what I have to do to be in this friendship and get back to a place that I miss about my relationship with Kyle, then I'll do it. Ooh, damn, dude. Damn.
For today, it's worth it. And they hug and they go inside. And then this is the part that broke my heart. They go up into Dorit's room where shit is everywhere. Everything is disorganized. And Dorit says, I've given up. And Kyle in her confessional tells us that Dorit is extremely meticulous and she's really surprised to see like kind of a hoarder mess. And it's a clear reflection of her current state of mind. And Dorit's completely... She says she doesn't even notice the mess anymore. And she goes, that's how I know I'm not myself. And I was like, are you happy with yourself, Kyle, for causing a scene and yelling at this bitch? And it's not just clothes that are piled. It's like drink containers and like, it's a mess.
It's
like
a mess.
I've been there and I know that feeling. And the orchids are dead, but they're still there on the table. Like, you don't throw it away or tend to it. It's just like a fucking carcass of life. It really made me sad.
My first therapist, Fran, that I've talked about on this podcast many times, I owe my life to her. I'm adamant about that. You know, when you go into therapy sessions and they like lead you through a meditation or someone leads you through a meditation, they say, think about someone who is really safe. It is Fran. My point is that she told me that when my space is full of chaos, it's a reflection that I'm experiencing inner chaos. But that was something that it was imparted to me as a child, as a teenager, you know, before my prefrontal cortex was already fully formed, making me an official adult. I've held on to that. And I still have too much chaos in my space at home. And I know it's a reflection of my inner chaos in my brain. And it makes me very sad. And so I could really relate. All roads lead to Bravo. Your death doula trainer, what we're seeing in Dorit's space, this is real effing life, okay? It's just real life. And rant. I don't know if that was even a rant, but what I'm saying is I'll be quiet now. I'm done.
No, I think it's lovely and it's true. And I wish someone other than Kyle had been there to have this conversation, because once again, Kyle makes it about herself. Like, it's okay because she's relating, saying she felt weird moving her stuff into Mauricio's closet. I don't know. It's not the same. But
right.
It's like, if it were me, I would have been like, why don't you tell me what's going on with you? And I'm just going to throw away the trash. I'm going to just move through this space and pick up trash while you talk.
Right.
You know, be supportive. Don't just be like, oh, well, I use Mauricio's closet. It's
offer
like,
to bring
okay.
over iced lattes and say, you know what, I'm going to bring over some iced lattes. We're going to put on our grubbies and we're going to do this together. Would that help you? I'd be happy to do that. It would make my heart sing. Instead, she just makes it about herself.
Which is fine because they do sort of bond about it. And Dorit asked the question, you decided on a 6-month separation? And Kyle, with like some solid perspective, says like that was the only way they were going to start this process is by saying it's just 6 months. Because, you know, again, it's hard to go from 30 years together to totally dissolving your family in one fell swoop. I don't blame them for taking those steps, but Kyle is basically pretty clear that like they're not going to reconcile and they are headed for divorce, and both of them are a bit in denial. And then this freaked me out. Kyle in her confessional says anytime divorce comes up, Mauricio will say things like, it's too soon to start talking about that. And I was like, that's sad, but then also get a lawyer, because he's probably using this time like PK is to get every good lawyer in the city on his team. Like these ladies need to go get a lawyer.
I noticed that whenever Dorit asks her, do you want to stay together? She doesn't say yes or no. And I understand that question is a hard one and that it might not yield a yes or no. But my feeling is that it's not really that she doesn't know. I think it's going to go against the narrative she's cultivating for the audience and her castmates to garner sympathy. Like, she's with Morgan. She's with Morgan. She's with her.
Yeah, and that
Stop
became
it,
clear,
Kyle.
like, because I've been like wondering a little bit. But then this week, you know, as much as we make fun of Teddy, she's going through some very severe health stuff this week. And it was reported that Kyle and Morgan showed up at the hospital. And I'm like, Kyle, you're not like alone. You're not without a companion. What you want is what everyone who's ending any relationship wants, is for it to be like it was. And it's really painful to come to terms with that never being possible again. But you've already moved on. You started it.
Yeah.
Cry me a river about him hugging a model. You always say, you did a video in a strappy bikini making out with this girl who sings songs about doing blow off your stomach on the kitchen floor. Like, come on.
Yeah, dude.
Please.
Seriously. Oh, it's so ridiculous. Ridiculous. Dorit says to Kyle, you know what? We have to live. We have to live. And then in her confessional, she theorizes, and I agree, PK lived with the thought of separating. He was marinating in this in his mind, unbeknownst to her.
He was gone. He was
mentally.
Not unbeknownst.
Right.
He was in London.
You're right, man. Oh my God.
He was separated.
Oh my God, for weeks.
But he forgot to tell her, which is not uncommon, you
Yeah.
know, in these situations.
Yeah.
Someone is already long gone. And it's sad because Dorit says, you know, he's been out the door for a long time and Dorit needs to catch up. And I'm just like, there is no catching up. Like, time takes time and you'll get where he is in the same amount of time it took him to get where he is. Like, it can't be a race anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay. Kyle says that she never expected her and Mo would be here. And in Dorit's confessional, she says that she's really missed this feeling of connection with Kyle. And Dorit says that if the man wants a divorce, they're going to get a divorce. She can't stop him.
So sane and sober.
Very, very. And then Kyle asks her, you know, when you're not with him, do you like your independence? And Dorit says, no. And then Kyle lies, again, makes it about her. And she says, yeah, we're in the exact same situation. No, you're not. You are not in the exact same situation, Kyle. You're not. Mauricio was never gone for 2 weeks at a time, not communicating with you or his children that he loves palpably. We have seen it for years. We know what kind of dad he is. He is the opposite of PK. Whether or not I think he's smarmy, whether or not I agree with his business practices, we've seen Mauricio as a dad, and he's been present and loving and supportive. And they're not the same.
No,
and it just happened. This is just happening in real time to Dorit. And Kyle has been living with this for 6 months or longer.
Over a year now.
Yeah, dude.
And Dorit does wonder if PK is dating and if he's living a single life. And Kyle says it would be hard to keep that under wraps because they're all so high profile. And then we get a black screen that says 1 week later, and the story breaks of Mauricio with a photo kissing this young, scantily clad model at an airport in Greece. And Erika, we see Erika FaceTime with Kyle saying, "Did you know this was coming?" And she said, "No, and I don't really know how I am." And I was like, "I do. You're in bed with Morgan." And it's never fun to see your ex with the next person, but it's a young supermodel in Greece. He got as far away from you as he could. Like, just let it be. He doesn't owe you anything. Again, you're the one who initiated this breakup. And of course, it's going to have pain. Just because you're the one who ends something doesn't mean it doesn't hurt just as bad. I just can't find any sympathy for this woman. I can't.
No. She's
He's
unsympathetic.
doing the best he can.
She's made her unsympathetic bed, lie in it. Like I don't know. Yeah. Oh, friend. I am so grateful that this episode gave us a quasi break from the heaviness of the last 2 or 3. I mean, this season's been the heaviest season of Beverly Hills, in my opinion, or at least the one in my most recent memory. And I was so grateful that taking notes was like not an endeavor like last week where I had to take a depression nap because I couldn't deal with the fact that they were going to go to Sutton's childhood home.
I was very grateful to be at a hot dog barbecue for
Totally.
an episode. It was fine with me.
What else did you watch this week, friend?
I watched The Traitors, which that show just continues to deliver on every level. The casting is perfect. Tom Sandoval is hilarious unintentionally. The editing is amazing. Again, I just love that show. Oh, I watched Summer House, it's so stupid and wonderful, and I'm so glad it's back. And I watched the SNL 50th anniversary special, which plays into my antidepressant a little bit because I watched it with my mom, which was really fun.
I love that. I love that.
What else did you watch?
I don't even know if I'm caught up on The Traitors.
Did you see Tom Sandoval sing?
No, I've been reading about it, and I'm trying to stay away from spoilers, but I've seen his name mentioned on Reddit about last week's episode. I haven't seen the SNL special, but it's definitely on the list. I watched the mini docuseries called Scamanda.
Oh, yeah.
That podcast was riveting. I
listened to that.
Every minute of it.
Great.
And the documentary actually has information that I did not know. Just like that Grey's Anatomy one, Anatomy of Lies. I thought I knew the whole story. There was more to be revealed. Same with Scamanda. I recommend the podcast. I recommend the docuseries. I would listen to the podcast first. The best thing that I watched, though, since we last met, the season premiere of Yellow Jackets. It's back, and Showtime had Paramount Plus, whatever. They had the first 2 episodes, and shoot it into my veins. Melanie Linsky is just that. I love that show so much. I find it just riveting and terrifying. So that's what I watched. Scamanda, awesome. Yellow Jackets. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot Yellow Jackets came back. I gotta revisit that.
All right, friend, talk to me about your antidepressant.
My antidepressant was a long weekend of family and friends and like so much laughing and smiling. I went to a dinner party with Groundlings friends and we played stupid games and just like laughed so hard. I talked to my niece on the phone who I just adore, and like I got off the phone with her and I was trying to do a meditation, and it was one of those guided ones that's like relax your face, and I literally couldn't. I was smiling so big because she had just shared some like very happy, exciting news, and I was so happy for her, and I could not stop smiling. Like my face was pulled in a smile, so I couldn't meditate. And I saw my mom over the weekend, and she was having a bad day with some of the health stuff she was going through, and she was able to settle down a bit, and we sat down, and the 50th SNL anniversary show was on, and she was laughing so hard she like couldn't eat. She had to like put her food down. She was like crying, and you know the kind of laughing where you stop making noise?
Yeah.
She was just completely taken away by it. It was faces she recognized, sketches she remembered, like it was just lovely. And yeah, and then I got to spend a whole day with my goddaughter and her mom, who's one of my dearest friends. And again, just like I laugh so hard with them. They just make me so happy. And then I got to see your kid standing in the background before we started recording today who I just love. And again, it's involuntary. The smile comes from like the inside out. It's not the like, you'd look pretty if you smiled more smile. It's like something that I'm not in control of it.
Yeah.
So I feel like I got 4 solid days of being surrounded by wonderful people and seeing them laugh and smile and be happy. It's been such a hard month in Los Angeles. There's been so much grief here after the fires. So my system just like drank it up. I was like, yes, this is available still. It's so great. So that was my antidepressant.
It sounds like your soul was just steeped and steeping with love and joy. I'm so happy
Yeah.
for you. I'm so happy for you.
My mom said it. Like when I was with my mom, my niece happened to call when I was with her, and I called her back later. But my niece called, and my mom and I talked to her for a minute on speakerphone. And then I hung up the phone, and my mom just looked at me and she just goes, "We're so lucky, aren't we, Margie?" And I was like, "We are so lucky." This is why I was yelling at Kyle about perspective. I spotted, I got it. Like there's so much I could focus on that's not right, even sitting in the company of my mom who's struggling with some health stuff. But in that moment, yeah, it was just so clear. We're so lucky. We have so much. And like this was just a weekend of being like you said, steeped in what's great, you know? I feel like really energized and lucky and grateful for that.
I love that. It's funny. I thought of Kyle too. Right when you were when you were agreeing with your mom, we are so lucky. And I was like, fuck you, Kyle. Take note. Take note. Jesus. Ay,
But she's
ay,
too
ay.
worried about her spray tan to notice everything that's actually beautiful,
I know.
you know?
I know.
And how about you? What was your antidepressant?
It's definitely being here in Portland. Again, like I'm sitting in my niece's bedroom and I'm just tickled. I'm just tickled by it. I just adore her. And it also warmed my heart so much. I asked Leo, I'm like, hey, do you want to say hi to Margie before we start? And he was just like, yeah, absolutely. We took him to see the snow for the very first time. On President's Day, my niece and my son and me and Josh, we took them to go tubing up at this ski area that's pretty close by. And watching my kid go down a snowy mountain in a tube, hauling down there, not looking back up at me and Josh to see what, check in with us, just running to go do it again. He was laser focused. There was no, where are my parents? I feel unsafe. There was nothing. He was just independent as hell. Josh and I could not stop talking about how proud we were of him and like telling him that. So it was really fun to just do something silly. And, I love doing stuff like sledding down a fast hill. I think it's really fun. So
Tubing is the best.
it's the best. It's
So
the best.
fun.
And just being with my sister, we're staying with her and her fiance and my niece. When we're in Oakland, it's just the 3 of us. And it can feel kind of quiet and lonely at times. And being here, you can feel everybody's presence, even if we're not in the same room. Even when we're all asleep, I can feel everyone, and it's my favorite people in one place. It's been really nice. It's been lovely, and my soul needed this too. I just got to work on being kind to myself. Every little mistake I make, I fear that everyone's going to be like, oh, she's a real problem. She's not a serious adult. And it's like, no one's thinking that. It's my shame is telling me lies, but they're so believable. But another antidepressant that, is pretty instantaneous. It's a quick fix, although it's not quick. Doing this podcast with you has really helped me shift out of that shame I was feeling before we sat down. So it's always of service to me, friend. You're
Me
always
too.
being of service to me when you sit down with me. Our hearts get to connect, our souls get to connect. It means the world to me, man. It means it means everything. It means everything, and it's helped me. I feel
Me
a
too.
shift. It feels a palpable physical shift from when I sat down to now when we're about to stop. So I thank you for that.
Same. I the same every time.
I'm so
So,
glad. And
yeah.
if I can make you feel like that, I can't be bad. I can't be as
No.
bad as I think I am.
Well, and the lie is that it's all one or the other,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
it's like, there are parts of me that are, I mean, we talked about how we both started our morning by spilling coffee. I had to change my shirt twice because I got it on my shirt twice. And some things just aren't going to resolve, or maybe they will, but I don't know. Who knows? My point is, I am not my coffee spill 2-shirt morning.
Right.
You are not your coffee spill
On the wall.
delayed on the wall
God.
morning. It's part of us, but like there are other parts of us that have lots of value. And yeah,
You're
like
right.
you talk about with your kid, like, are you a bucket filler? And you are. Overall, I'm a bucket filler. I'm a coffee spiller. That's
You're right.
the story of the day today.
You're absolutely right. You're
And both are
absolutely right,
true.
Margie.
And it's frustrating and embarrassing to spill. I'm an adult. I know how to handle a coffee cup. What the fuck happened? How did I knock it over? I was standing there looking at it and my arm hit it. How?
I know.
It's not even possible what happened, but it
Dude.
happened. And it doesn't define me as like an inept member of society. It was just a moment. So
You're right. You're very right. You're very right. Thank you for that reminder. You're right. Everyone, be loving to yourself. If you spill coffee, if you're just perfectly imperfect because we're humans, try not to indulge your shame wizard. Tell your shame wizard to knock it off. You're not wanted here. I'll do the same.
or just take a peek at what's good. Like,
Yeah.
like the tone of my mom's voice saying like, we're so lucky. It was that like top of the roller coaster feeling of like, I just need to remember to visit that part. The other part comes to visit me. The darkness is like, hey, have you thought about this? And I have to remember to be like, yeah, and also these things are happening that are beautiful and lovely.
Oh my God. Every
It's
time
a
I talk to you,
practice.
I feel more healed. I do. I do.
Same.
All right, everyone, take good care of yourself this week, and we will be back next week to talk more about, I anticipate a very Kyle heavy episode. Oh boy.
Ready. I gotta get ready.
Get ready, because Mo's paparazzi pics are going to be.
Yeah. I got to practice my patience.
God,
with
I'm
this
already
woman.
exhausted.
I
That's
know.
hilarious. All right, on that note, everyone, we'll talk to you later.
Bye, everybody.
Ramona and Margie are obviously not doctors and do not provide medical advice. Their content is intended to be used for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be, should not be interpreted as, or used as a substitute for medical advice or a diagnosis of any health or fitness problem, condition, or disease, nor a recommendation for a specific test, doctor, care provider, procedure, treatment plan, product, or course of action.
My mom isn't a doctor.